Welcome. So you've gotten Path of Exile 2, but you're not fully sure of what you've gotten yourself into.
What have I done?
In a nutshell, Path of Exile is like a gambler's dream turned into a video game. My favorite way to explain Path of Exile is it's like you're playing blackjack. You could be betting $5 or $1 million, it makes no difference. But you're at the table. Maybe you have 18, 19, or even 20. Your idiotic self is still going to tell the dealer, hit me, because you want that perfect 21, but more than likely, you're going to bust out. Now, that may seem confusing, and honestly, it is. Path of Exile 2 has systems upon systems of different concepts and odds and ends, but it doesn't mean you need all of it to have fun. 90% of players don't need all of that extra stuff. This guide is going to go over the basics of Path of Exile and the essence of what it is so you can have fun playing the game. I'm Lilbot Q, and let's hop into it. When starting in Path of Exile 2, the first action is to create your character. Currently, there are 8 different classes to pick. Eventually, there will be 12. To make it simple, read the descriptions and pick whichever you find the most interesting and give it a dope name. There's no sort of character customization, so if that disappoints you, well, sucks to suck. The Ranger specializes in bows and speed. The Witch focuses on dark magic and casting minions to do her dirty work. The Sorcerer is a mage of the elements excelling in spells with fire, ice, and lightning. The Warrior is the tanky class and concentrates on taking damage and wielding melee weapons to smash your enemies. Mercenary pinpoints itself on using crossbows to shoot out grenades and arrows. Monk is a melee-centered class that will slap your enemies even with his fists. The Huntress shines with spears, where you can be up close and personal or throw them from a distance. Druid is a shapeshifter, allowing you to constantly transform into animal form and cast spells as a human. Although I have given you a brief intro along with their specialty, any class can use any weapon or skill and be a viable engine of destruction. For example, you can have a monk that shapeshifts into an animal just like a druid. All of the different options and combinations create so much diversity in players' builds, which is one of the most attractive aspects of Path of Exile 2.
God damn, Jimmy.
POE.
Some serious gourmet shit.
Next, you want to pick the league you will play in. I'd advise playing the default challenge league. Currently, that's Fate of the Vol. SSF is an acronym for solo self-found, and it just means you can't play with others. It's just you. If you enjoy pain and suffering, pick hardcore because you hate your life. When you're first starting out, you will travel through this area here and you will get your first skill gem. The first one is based on your class, but afterwards you'll be able to engrave them into whichever you like. There's 100+ options, so don't be afraid to try some to see which ones you like best. Some skills will work well with others, even having their own synergies, so you may want to read their descriptions. Currently, you can have 9 active skill gems at once as a base, but won't be at that point until you nearly beat the campaign. Slot your gems into the skill screen. Each skill gem will have sockets. Support gems can be input into these sockets, altering the skill and juicing your character. There's recommended supports for each skill, and I'd advise staying with those until you're more comfortable with the system. Bind the skills to your bar and get to blasting. Once you defeat the first fat ogre, you will be introduced to the passive tree. The starting points are different based on the class you pick. Each node on here is a passive ability that will transform your character. This is where things can start to get complex, and there's a lot of options, and people may advise you to follow a build guide. I'm not going to do that because, as you can see, there's thousands of guides. The passive tree can be somewhat separated based off of their starting classes, and I have it here shown. Deciding which route to take is a scary task and can be quite overwhelming, but don't let it be. You can always make changes later. My recommendation is to pick nodes based off of your skills. Each skill has different tags letting you know what the skill is affected by. Search for the tags in the passive tree and you'll get a pretty good idea of the road you want to take. On the passive tree, there's 3 different nodes that stick out more than others. The first is notable passives. These are normally the final passive of a small branch of nodes, providing a significant boost compared to regular nodes. Second, we have keystones. There's only a handful of these on the tree, and these all offer a significant upside with some sort of downside. You typically only want to grab these if the downside doesn't affect your build, but you'll probably be avoiding these for the most part when starting out. The last one is jewel sockets. These allow you to input a sapphire, ruby, or emerald that can provide a variety of different buffs to strengthen your character, but you won't find these until at least mid-game. Passives can be daunting, and let's be honest, your first build is going to be trash and you will die, so don't stress them too much. You'll learn along the way. While you're doing the campaign, you're going to find different gear and weapons. There's a ton of items, so before I start, download a loot filter. Literally,
Do it! Just do it!
Weapons allow you to use different skills, and without the weapon, you won't be able to use the skill. For example, you can't shoot a crossbow arrow with a wand. Sorry to disappoint you. For gear, there's three main types of defenses. We have armor, which serves as a way to reduce your physical damage taken while giving you a slight movement speed penalty. Evasion, which allows you to avoid attacks completely and not be hit. And energy shield, which is basically an extra life pool that regenerates after a delay of time. Additionally, there is hybrid gear that combines two of the stats together. For example, gear can have energy shield and armor at the same time with just a little lower of values compared to gear that has just energy shield or just armor. Honestly, use whichever gear you can throughout the campaign, as each type needs a certain amount of attributes and some gear will not line up with the skill attributes that you're using. Focus on resistances. 75% is the base maximum you can get for all resistances. Don't worry if you don't have 75% while in the campaign, as this can be quite normal. Prioritize the elemental resist before chaos as well, since chaos resists just aren't as beneficial as the others. Throughout the campaign, you will come across uniques. In short, these are their names. Unique. They may seem of super high value when you first get one, and don't get me wrong, some are absolutely insane, but a majority of them will be garbage and useless for your build. Why is this? Well, because again, they are unique. They may serve a niche purpose for specific builds or be great when you're level 10, but are hot trash when you're level 20. Most of them are what we like to call build enablers. They do things that rares cannot, granting effects, keystones, conversions of damage, and so on. But these benefits only suit a handful of scenarios, so if you happen to get any, don't feel forced to put them on, as they just might not work for your build. If you are in Trade League, you can sell these for some quick profits or dismantle them if you're playing solo self-found. If you've made it this far, you've probably got the basics down and have decided whether or not you like the game, and have found items called currency. If you remember the beginning where I mentioned Path of Exile 2 is like being at a casino, yeah, this is it. Currency allows you to upgrade and modify items in different ways, letting you enhance your character even further or completely brick your item. Just kidding, just kidding. Well, sort of. Throughout the campaign, the main currency you will need are jeweler orbs, as these will increase the amount of sockets of skills, which will give you nice damage boosts. There will be different orbs you will find, like transmutation, augmentation, exalted, and so on. Modifying an item with different currency is quite random and is why it's like playing blackjack until you finally get that good hand. If you listen to me and are smart, you got a loot filter, and if you hear this noise, you got something of very high value. As a side note, the current universal trading currency is exalted orbs. For anything of higher value, divine orbs are the universal currency. PoE has its own economy, which can be scary, but you don't have to be a part of it if you don't want to. You can treat it like the stock market and be intricate and precise with your wealth, or you can walk up to the roulette table and put it all on black. It's all up to you. There's plenty of other topics in the game like essences, omens, corruption, incursion, breach, economy, abyss, delirium. So let's go over each.
Psych!
The point is, the game is complex, and all this means is there are plenty of things to look forward to the more you play. You'll learn new things along the way, we'll try new characters, find your own interactions that are cool and intriguing, and you'll find that rare unique item you got one time that you will talk about for the next 5 years with your buddies. But the point is, stick to the basics until you complete the campaign at your own pace. And yeah, maybe your favorite YouTuber or streamer clears it in 4 hours, but it's going to take you probably 15 to 25 hours, and there's nothing wrong with that. You have to understand, a lot of these guys have been playing Path of Exile for over 10 years, so don't compare yourself. It's you versus AI robots at the end of the day. At this point, I hope you somewhat have an understanding of what Path of Exile 2 is. Maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't. Thanks for stopping by regardless and spending this short time with me. Take it easy, Exiles.